Miles Davis is cruising through Brooklyn in his red Ferrari after finishing a gig. Next to him, his girlfriend of the moment. Miles brings the car to a stop outside her home. Leans in to give her a kiss goodnight. Out the corner of his eye, he sees another vehicle swing by. Miles yells, "Duck!" Shots rip into the side of the Ferrari. Miles winces as one grazes his hip. Miraculously, he and his girlfriend are otherwise unscathed. Miles sits there, breathing heavily, stunned. 10 years before, just after releasing Kinda Blue, he's beaten up by a policeman while escorting a white woman to a taxi. A whole decade on, and now this. It feels like he's always a target of somebody. Who is it this time? Welcome to Legend, the Miles Davis story. I'm Clark Peters. A few months after that attempt on his life, Miles dropped a new album. I remember listening to it for the first time. I was around 18 years old. The album cover is this extraordinary Salvador Dali-style image. Black female figures gazing out over a psychedelic landscape. It's called Bitches Brew. And the sound, it's on a different planet too. It was unlike any music I'd ever encountered. I was totally blown away. But all the time while listening, I had this question. Why would somebody so established in themselves as an icon risk going in a completely different direction and losing all of your fans? I know now that this is what great artists do. You have to take a leap into the unknown. And that's what Miles did every time. In this episode, I'm going to tell you the story of what drove Miles towards this total gear shift, to a point where one critic even said he killed jazz. This time, it's more than just being drawn to that blue, flickering flame. In the years following his beating by the police in 1959, Miles Davis experiences a change in his character, a hardening. He's done with trying to fit into an industry or society that expects him to behave in a certain way. He's going to fight back. His blue flame has grown into a blazing fire of resistance. It will lead him to burn down everything he's done before, not just his art, but his own health and the relationships that have meant the most to him. But before Miles reaches this revolution, I want to take you back 7 years. To May 1962. Miles Davis is in his mid-30s, on tour in Kansas City, feeling worn down by the grind. One of the members of his band comes up to him, suggests Miles sit down. Miles hesitates. Then, he tells Miles that his father has died. Miles Davis Sr. was unwell, but Miles had only seen his father a few days before, and he hadn't noticed any decline. He'd given Miles a letter, but Miles hadn't read it. Now he opens it up.
A few days after you read this, I'll be dead. So, take care of yourself, Miles. I truly loved you, and you made me proud.
More tragedy was just around the corner. In a couple of years, his mother, whose fine features and sharp eyes he had inherited, passed away. Tied up in his own chaotic world, Miles doesn't even manage to make it to her funeral. Journalist and broadcaster Kevin Legendre.
People perceive that as a certain amount of heartlessness or indifference, but I think he was so devastated that he couldn't bring himself to do it. So the death of his parents in a short space of time really, really crushed him emotionally.
On the surface, Miles's life is copacetic. He had married the beautiful ballet dancer, Frances Taylor, won his first Grammy, and his albums, Kind of Blue and Sketches of Spain, have made him a megastar. Underneath, though, cracks are forming. His first great quintet has disbanded.
John Coltrane leaves the band. Cannonball Adderley also leaves, and that's a major blow. And inevitably, the Kind of Blue band, or that incredible group, it had to break up because they were all leaders. And then physically, he's not in great shape as well. He's diagnosed with sickle cell anemia. He's got problems with his hip. I think he had his first operation round about that time.
Miles feels stuck in a rut. So he does what he does best, shops around for cool new sounds. Late one night in early 1963, New York City, Miles slips into a waterfront jazz club called the Blue Note. The tight band on stage is tearing it up. He's always been good at spotting rising talent, and tonight he's especially excited by a 25-year-old bass player called Ron Carter, a maestro in the making.
We had 2 weeks there, man, which was really great for me because I was in the same place. I could learn some tunes to really go get a master's playing with these guys, you know?
Ron has been hearing rumors.
Miles at the time had no band because they broke up. All he had was Miles Davis and whoever was left over from that rhythm section. Of course, Miles was ahead of everybody's list as the guy you got to play with.
Then Miles sidles up to Ron, offers him that golden opportunity to join his band, leaving for California in the next 2 days. Ron hesitates. He already has a job.
I said, well, Mr. Davis, I'm working with Art Farmer for the next 2 weeks. And if you will ask Mr. Farmer if I can leave his band to join yours, if he says, okay, I'm happy to do it. So after they had a talk, Miles came back and said, well, Art Farmer says, okay. So I finished up the week and left with the next day.
Ron isn't the only young, hot talent to be joining Miles. He also sounds out a teenage whiz kid drummer, Tony Williams, and 23-year-old pianist, Herbie Hancock, who was as shocked as Ron when he got the call. As he explained to BBC Six Music,
I never dreamed of ever playing with Miles Davis. That was beyond anybody's dream, right? And Miles was only in his 30s.
By 1964, with the addition of sax player Wayne Shorter, his new group are finding their groove. They perform all over the United States, Tokyo, and Europe, keeping their repertoire small, getting to know each other and the way they play. In early 1965, they release an album called ESP. For the front cover of the LP, Miles makes a demand.
He said, I don't want any more white ladies on my album. I want my wife on the album.
Frances Taylor Davis speaking with Ian Carr for the 2001 BBC radio series Jazz File. In the photograph, Miles looks cool, sitting in an easy chair looking up at his wife, beautiful in her flowery dress and elegant headscarf. An idyllic image. In reality, Miles has begun to drink heavily, and he's back on drugs, this time cocaine. And not surprisingly, his behavior is changing. He's becoming more possessive, sometimes physically abusive. Frances had given up so much to be with him. She's becoming increasingly unhappy. She can't bear it anymore.
I ran to my parents in Chicago, and he called every hour on the hour and saying, you must come back. I love you, and I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Frances tries to return just once.
And then he threw a bottle across the room, and I thought, oh dear. So I never unpacked my bags. I left, and I hid out in a motel, and I never went back. But it was very sad because I loved Miles so. I loved him with all my heart and soul, and he loved me. I know that. But whatever the demons were, they were too deep.
His personal life was now a mess. Frances has filed for divorce. He was unhappy, his drug use spiraling out of control, but he can still play music. Miles channels his frustration into unbelievable performances on stage across the United States and Europe. His quintet are hitting it out of the park, night after night, playing to packed audiences who hang on their every improvised note. It is in every sense a tour de force.
The band was on fire.
Maestro Ron Carter.
These guys on stage literally playing their brains out, trying to discover some new shit to do, because the audience expects it, and we expect it.
He also has their back when the unexpected happens. Here's Herbie Hancock.
Miles was playing his solo. It was really tight. And then I, bam, hit this chord. It was completely wrong. I wanted to crawl under the floor, right? Miles, he didn't turn around, and he just took a breath, and he played some notes that made my chord right. And as a musician in a band, he did what we all try to do, make it work, no matter what anybody plays.
Miles knows his guys are playing some of the finest jazz that's ever been created. But
there's no doubting the level of creativity. The big question is, where is jazz in the broader landscape of music at that point in time?
Miles is acutely aware that he's beginning to lose audiences because the times they are a-changing. Bob Dylan's gone electric, and the Beatles had taken America by storm. Kevin Legendre.
What do you want to listen to if you're 15, 16, 17 years old in the mid to late 60s? Possibly not acoustic jazz. You want to listen to electric rock. So at that point in time, Miles Davis's sales projections, album sales, are around 60,000, which for Columbia Records is not particularly high. If they're selling 100, 200, 500,000 with other young rock artists, then obviously he becomes less relevant.
Miles has become a museum piece. He's 42. Then, out of the blue, not long after his divorce from Frances is finalized in early 1968, he meets 23-year-old singer and model Betty Maybury. She is new cool, and Miles falls for her hard.
She's a singer and an excellent songwriter. A beautiful black woman with a fantastic afro, wears amazing colors, psychedelic sense of dress. There's no way that you can walk past Betty Maybury and not notice her.
Betty is tuned into the center of the happening social circles. She introduces Miles to her friends.
Jimi Hendrix, Sly and the Family Stone, these very, very forward-looking, very creative figures in black music who are not coming from jazz.
It's not just the music. After a few months, Miles marries Betty. It only lasts a short year, but in that year, she transforms him. Out go the sharp Italian suits, tailored jackets, and Oxford shirts. Fashion writer and expert in Miles's looks, Jason Jules.
He abandoned his Ivy League outfit and became a rocker. Colorful silk, exaggerated clothes, fuchsia, electric, green, orange, lace. I can just imagine Betty Davis taking him to a store somewhere in San Francisco and getting his first pair of leather trousers.
That blue flame, the one always flickering at the edge of Miles's vision, is no longer gas. It's electric. He's fascinated by the sounds that pioneers like Hendrix and Sly Stone are getting out of their electric guitars and keyboards. Not all of his current band share his enthusiasm, though.
Miles liked that presence, as did a lot of guys. And part of that sound was electric bass and electric piano. So he said, I got this record, I said, what? But I said, Miles, I like your ideas, but I'm hearing something different now.
Ron Carter leaves, and not long after, this second great quintet will gradually come apart. But Miles wastes no time in scouring around for new musicians who played the electric way and experimenting in his own way. He's got an idea for an album. He needs to get in the studio and create a revolution of his own. 10 a.m., August 19th. In Columbia Studio B, on the second floor of a skyscraper in Midtown Manhattan, Miles Davis looks around at all the musicians he's handpicked to record his new album. 2 drummers, 2 electric pianists, 2 bass players, 1 electric, and a bass clarinetist. They've got this place booked out for the next 3 days, and the tapes.
Take 2 would happen, you know. It was like the tape was just running, and half the time I didn't know whether we were...
Video series Jazz File. At the time, he's 22, and had been playing with Miles for about a year. So he knows the score. Everything is recorded. Miles moves between everybody, pointing them to play at specific times. He's like a conductor or a painter, dabbing new colors as a picture begins to form. The musicians, when he calls them, follow him again and again.
There was no chance for you to sort of think about it, and that was great in itself, you know, because suddenly you had to react, suddenly you had to be spontaneous about it. He was on to recording the process of discovering this music and developing it, and that's why it has this sort of searching quality, and because everybody's trying to figure it out, you know, where are we going with this?
It's pure improvisation. After 3 days of recording, they have 9 hours of almost continuous music. And there are no single best takes, like on Kinda Blue. Miles hands the material over to his producer at Columbia, Teo Macero. Over the next months, Teo works tirelessly with an editor, cutting and splicing together tape segments, rearranging them, then running them past Miles. Sometimes they add sound effects like echo, delay, and reverb, even looping tiny little sections of trumpet or drums so the sound repeats. The result is a million miles away from anything. Calls this album Bitches Brew. Before release, it does the rounds at Columbia. Nobody knows what to make of it. Miles Davis, the kind of blue guy, master of the ballad, now he's gone electric and psychedelic all at the same time? Teo Macero sends it to one music critic he knows who replies, "No wonder jazz is dead. Guys like you have killed it." Miles feels like he's entering his most creative period yet. But it doesn't always go down well. Some fans are bemused. The venues aren't always full. They've come to see a jazz master. What they get is like chaotic noise. Things are hotting up offstage as well. Miles receives several threatening phone calls trying to extort money out of him. Then, late on the night of October the 10th, 1969, Miles is shot at in his red Ferrari. When the police arrive, it's Miles and his girlfriend they arrest for possession of marijuana. Miles is raging. Kevin Legendre.
So even though he is the quote-unquote victim, he's automatically perceived as a criminal, and the policemen are white. It transpires that the 2 guys who made the attempt on his life were actually black promoters in Brooklyn who were feeling very resentful towards him because they felt that he was giving too much work to white promoters. And to me, that's a very dark, disturbing, very depressing, but nonetheless very real parable of the racial divide in America.
Miles is always the target, but he's done trying to kowtow to the man, or what society expects of him. This time, he's not planning to just light up the house. He's gonna take a torch to it. In early 1970, Miles is recording another album, the soundtrack for a film about Jack Johnson, the first American black heavyweight champion of the world. Miles admired Jack. He didn't let anybody stand in his way.
Miles was very much a fan, clearly.
His drummer in those sessions was Billy Cobham's records, Bitches Brew, Jack Johnson. The music Miles is creating now are the sounds of resistance. Professor Farah Jasmine Griffin.
There is a kind of insistence in both Miles's self-presentation, in Miles's music, and in this iteration of the civil rights movement. He has that kind of insistence about what he wants and what he demands. The music does that, and it does it with an innovation, a dignity that is at the forefront and brings the rest of America along.
It's no surprise that it becomes the music of the civil rights movement, at this moment and beyond.
They will claim Miles because he has always been militant. He has always been insistent. And so the younger generations will take him up all the way through. As it moves into a Black Power phase, they will still claim Miles.
I'm black, all right. I'll never let them forget it.
At the end of March 1970, Bitches Brew drops. Some jazz purists claim Miles has lost his mind. But the records are flying off the shelves because people buying it aren't the old suit-and-tie jazzers. It's the young rock generation, the kids who live for Jimi Hendrix and Sly Stone. It quickly sells 100,000 copies, then soars past 500,000 to platinum. It becomes Miles's biggest commercial juggernaut since Kind of Blue. Over at Columbia Records, the executives who had been biting their fingernails are now popping champagne. Miles has revolutionized music again. He had resisted every corporate expectation, torched his own artistic past, and walked away a victor. And the spoils of victory are huge. He swaps that bullet-riddled Ferrari for a gray Lamborghini, redecorates his entire home in plush, futuristic luxury. Now he is something entirely unprecedented, an uninhibited black jazz musician, living the opulent, unapologetic life of an international rock star. It was time for a bigger stage. August 1970, the Isle of Wight Festival off the coast of England. It's going to be the biggest gig of Miles's entire life, playing to 600,000 people baking in the summer sun. His drummer at the time, Jack DeJohnette, remembers the sheer scale of that moment for the BBC radio series Miles 10 Years On in 2001.
Jimi Hendrix was playing. I think Janis Joplin was there. Actually, they flew us in a helicopter. We wound up playing some free pieces on there. Things that were just spontaneous. It's pretty exciting. Although we didn't stay long because we had to rush us in, rush us out. But it was a sea of people.
The crowd cheers for him like they cheer for Jimi Hendrix. He is at the absolute peak of his power. His blue flame is roaring. But when you play with fire, you risk getting burned. Back home in New York, Miles surrenders to the chaos of the rock and roll lifestyle. But Miles is getting older. He's 44, and his body can't take the abuse anymore. Behind the wraparound sunglasses, beneath the psychedelic designer clothes, his old ailments are staging a brutal comeback. The sickle cell anemia, the agonizing degenerative hip pain. But instead of cleaning up his act, Miles turns up the voltage. Drives faster cars. He stops taking care of himself. Miles is locked inside his own blue flame. He can't back down. It's almost like he's daring the universe to stop him. And then, on a crisp autumn morning at 8 a.m., the universe calls his bluff. Miles is speeding down Manhattan's West Side Highway. He's at the wheel of his latest pride and joy, a Lamborghini Miura. 40, 50. He's at 60 miles an hour in the blink of an eye. Suddenly, he spots his exit. It's coming up too fast. Instead of braking, he jams the steering wheel hard to the right. The car skids across 3 lanes of traffic, smashes right into the stone exit ramp. Through concussed eyes, Miles looks down. Blood is pooling around his leather trousers. He can't move. Both of his legs are broken. He's all smashed up. Has the fire he used to torch each of his creative selves also destroyed him too? Next time on Legend, the Miles Davis story. In our final episode, Miles heads into a self-imposed 5-year exile.
I was very worried about him, seriously worried about him, whether he would live or die.
And comes back one final time to inspire a whole new generation of musicians, artists, and creatives.